Folks, today I'm going to be talking about the massacre shooting in Buffalo, New York that just recently happened. And it's terrible. It's terrible to have to live like this. You know what I'm saying? Like so much evil, so much wickedness, so much unrighteousness, so much ungodliness happening among us. And I just want to talk about, what Jesus thinks about all this, because at the end of the day, if we're not following in his direction, we would get further away from him. And racism is a sign of hatred. It is a condition of the heart. So if you hating on somebody because of their skin color, because of their culture, ethnicity, anything of that nature, you are admittedly against God, because you are hating on his creation. So that goes for white folks hating against blacks or Asians or whoever it may be. Um, that's hatred. You have hatred in your heart, and you will be judged. You will be judged by the Lord. And so God is very serious about all that murdering and hatred. You're not fit for the kingdom of heaven if you have hatred in your heart towards anybody, any type of unforgiveness. You out killing people, a group of people, because of their skin color. And I actually, read about this story. It's very disturbing, because this family, the boy's family, was talking about the kid was what they say, he was stressed out because of COVID-19, as if a lot of people not stressed out. You know how many people lost their jobs? How many people's businesses went downhill? They lost their business. Some people even became homeless. They lost their homes because they had no money. They had no resources. So, some people got sick. Some people actually died from COVID. You know what I'm saying? That is no excuse to go out and kill folks, and to kill black people at that, as a group. So that was a targeted assassination. And, for the family to try to lie and back him up, the family will be judged too. That's hatred. You can't cover up the obvious. That's wickedness. So that's the same if he went out and shot up a whole bunch of white folks, or just went and just started just spreading everybody. He went and shot and targeted black people. So that's an act of racism. That's a terrorist attack. And he's not fit for the kingdom of God. He's not fit for the kingdom of heaven, committing such acts. I want to read from Revelation 21:8, so we can see what Jesus says about murder. He says, "But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in a lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death." So that's hell. So, a lot of people read the Bible and don't think that it's literal. The Bible is very literal. Jesus, he's not playing with his word. This is a word of warning. So if you hating on people, with that racist stuff, and I know that comes from your upbringing, because, racism is taught. That's a condition of the heart. You're taught that stuff. You're taught racism at home from your parents or grandparents, whoever raised you, influences around you. It don't matter. The school, your community, the environment you're in. Racism is taught. That is a taught behavior, and it is a condition of the heart of hatred, animosity, hostility towards a group or groups of people because of their skin color, their class, anything. That's hatred, and God is against that, totally against that. And I know about it being a lot of groups out there, hate groups, that call themselves Christians, that claim that they know Jesus. You don't know Jesus if you hating on people, or you planning to kill people. Even hating on people is murder already in your heart, whether you physically kill somebody or not. If you hating on somebody, that is murder already. You're talking about a race of people because of their skin color, their class, whatever it may be, their background. That's slander. That's hatred. And that's against God's will, purpose, and plan. So, a lot of people grow up in households and environments where, racism is taught. They're taught racism. They're taught that they're superior, that they're better than other people because of how much money they have or whatever it may be. But remember, it is appointed unto man to die once, and then there's the judgment. So it does not matter about riches that you may have on this earth. Your soul is at jeopardy. If you hating on people, you will be judged unless you repent. God, his word is literal. It's not just for a certain group of people or, I can hate on people. Your hate is not justifiable unto the Lord. It doesn't matter what happens. I had to forgive a white woman, years ago. She called me a nigger. And so what happened, that's how Satan planted a seed. That's just one white woman that called me a nigger. And so I started to hate all white people. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I started to look at all white people as the same because of what this one white woman did. I forgot all about my friendships with white folks, growing up, around a lot of white folks and had a lot of friendly neighbors and everything. That was all out the window because of this one white woman, ignorant white woman that called me a nigger. The devil would use situations to magnify it, to make it, to cause division, to make it seem like this is a one for all. So one person got it too wrong, and so now it's a whole group of people as one. You know how hard it is to walk around with hate in your heart? I am dead serious. Like, I walked around thinking that all white folks was the same. I didn't look at them the same after that, y'all. That's the first time I was called a nigger and got it disrespectfully. And so I began to look at white people as a collective, like, oh, they all the same. I hate them. I don't, that's terrible. And that's what a lot of people are dealing with now. They're walking around a lot of hate in their heart. And God has called us to forgive people. Not for them, not for their acts. God will deal with them on another level. But as born again Christians, this was before I was even a Christian, it is our responsibility to be Christ-like, to respond to situations like Christ would do. Because I was reading in Proverbs that it says to not be envious, or is that Psalms, to not be envious of oppressors, to not be envious of those that do evil. God don't want us to be envious of them. The Lord said that he will repay. He didn't tell us to repay. He didn't tell us to do anything. He said, I will repay. And that is far worse than any of us trying to repay. You know what I'm saying? The wrath of God comes down on children of disobedience. So if you out there hating on people for their race, and you thinking, oh, I just, my parents taught me this because this black person did this, or, you had some terrible experience with one person, or, everybody's not the same. So you can't classify that, and God will not excuse you for that, of having hatred in your heart against somebody or against a group of people because of your experience or even your upbringing. Especially if you're an adult, you're totally responsible for what you do in this life. And so God, he is in control of all souls. It all comes down to all souls. So God is in control of all souls. So we are to fear him. He has the power to throw both body and soul into hellfire. When we have the fear of the Lord in us, there is no room for hatred. The fear of the Lord is the fountain of life to depart from the snares of death. So if you're looking around sniffing out and hating on people, that's any hate group or organization, because there's a lot of them out there. It's many hate groups out there that's hating on other people or thinking they're more superior than anybody. That's what Satan, that's how he thinks. He's here to divide. He's here to separate people, to make it, to magnify situations more than what it should be. So, that God, he's going to hold everybody accountable. Any type of hatred, even if you're making excuses, it doesn't matter for your loved ones. They hating on somebody, they killing folks. You can't use COVID as an excuse, because COVID is not just hit him. COVID hit the whole world. You know what I'm saying? So, that's an act of pride right there to even say something like that, to come out and say, oh, he did this because he was under stress because of COVID. That excuse is out the door. Families have lost loved ones and friends and all kind of businesses and all kind of stuff. But you don't see people retaliating and going after and shooting up people and filming it at that. So the devil is a liar. So that excuse is out the door. God does not excuse sin. And he made it very clear in his word. And hatred is a condition of the heart. So I want to read from Matthew chapter 15, verses 18 and 19. But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. And I want to read verse 20. It says, these are the things which defile a man. These are the things that defile a man. So Jesus made it very clear that, what comes out of the heart, evil thoughts, murders, and the list goes on. So this is the top two, and false witness. His family is doing false witness. And so Jesus, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. So the real question is, when it comes down to doing these type of acts, where did that come from? And a lot of people would say, I don't know what came over me. And little do they know that that's the devil operating on them on another level. Okay, when people say, I don't know what came over me, I don't know the thoughts that came out of my head, I don't know. I heard a lot of people say that too when they do eat wicked things. I had voices in my head. How many times have you heard that? People will say, I have voices in my head. Something told me to do that. What is that something? That's Satan. So when it comes to, and prayers to the family too, because, this is not the first time something like this has happened toward a targeted group of people. And so it's wickedness. It's wickedness. And this right here, Satan loved this because he would use a lot of black people at this time. Since it happened to a group of black people, he would use black people to have their hearts turn cold, to be like, oh, I hate white people. He's doing that, and it works, and it's working, because it's a lot of black people out there thinking like that right now. As soon as these situations happen, thoughts like that come up to black people, like, oh man, I hate white people. They do these things, they doing that. And that he loves that. Satan loves that because he likes to cause division. He magnifies situations to where people would respond in a way that causes division, that causes their heart to turn cold and to just coldness in their heart. And it causes people to think all kind of thoughts that they never thought of before. That's how Satan works. So with that shooting, praying for those families, because that is not okay. And, to the family that's supporting him and trying to excuse him from his acts, you will be judged too, because you're a false witness. There's no way that he could have just done these things because of COVID. If that's the case, we'll see a whole bunch of massacres. If that was the case. So that's not the case. He did that because he was hating on black people. And it's very obvious that's who he went after, and that's who he targeted against. All right, that's all I want to talk about today. Hatred is a condition of the heart. It has nothing to do with outside circumstances. It's a condition of the heart. So if you're a full, able adult, you make these decisions. It's not because of stress or anything else. It's the condition of your heart. You will be judged for that. You're not fit for the kingdom of heaven. Hating on people, it don't matter who you are. God says you're not fit for his kingdom. So that's all I want to talk about today, y'all, was that terrible terrorist attack against black people in Buffalo, New York.